Alright, so we are beginning the adventure to find out whether or not I can actually revive this son of a bitch. This is a Sony DCR TRV 460 that I got off eBay. Now, for those of you that remember the little test video that I did with this thing, I was unable to record to tape because the tape mechanism is screwed up. I ended up having to use this little thingy right here, which I actually bought for my Panasonic HVX 200, but it will work with standard mini DV output as well. Also, yes, I am abusing low-budget professional gear, because fuck you, I already dropped $1,000 on this thing. So, as far as the questionable functionality of the tape mechanism, what I originally thought that this was going to be, at least based off of the explanation that was given by the seller on eBay, I thought it was just going to be a problem with the pinch roller. It turned out to be exactly not that. The pinch roller was actually firmly in place, but there were a couple of other peculiarities on the inside of this thing. Those two peculiarities are directly related to each other. But first, I want to demonstrate what a proper tape drive looks like, and in this case, I'm not going to be using a Digital8 one, but the idea is roughly the same. So it's not Digital8, but the video format is roughly the same. That's kind of irrelevant right now. I'm going to switch this thing into VCR mode. Now, I'm also going to need to do this. We open up the tape drive. Look at that! It's flashing, and if I zoom up on it, because of the way that the shutter speed is set on this camera, it screws with the perception of motion. Isn't that cool? Stutter vision! Woo! And for anybody who might be wondering about the obvious, yes, that infrared thing lines up with this hole in the tape, this little middle piece right here. I can't be 100% sure because I don't actually feel like reading up on it right now, although I probably will before I edit this video. No, actually, he will not. I think that that's supposed to be how the camcorder tells whether or not there's a tape in the VCR. So now, let's put this onto here, somehow. Find out that it cannot be done properly with one hand. Now for this one, I probably should have grabbed my other camcorder that has an LED light, but screw it. Looky there, we're missing something. There's supposed to be something mounted inside of that little bracket there. Also pertinent is that ribbon cable that's sticking up that seems to be sheared off at the very end. That ribbon cable is supposed to connect to the infrared sense piece that sits inside of those little metal things. Yes, those metal things do line up with this little hole on an 8mm cassette. One other fun fact is that this thing does not know whether or not there is actually a tape in there. So it has a little bit of a peculiarity when you load it without a tape. Let me set this down here. I'm going to switch over to the shotgun microphone real quick here. And this is going to be the fun part. Yes, that was the camcorder's head drum spinning up, as if it had a tape in it, even though it does not have a tape in it. It does that no matter whether you have a tape in it or not, and if you do that while the camcorder is powered on, while trying to load a tape, it will give you the C3122 or C3123 error and tell you to reinsert the cassette. Or it'll tell you that the record tab is set to save when it's very obviously not. Can't get proper lighting on this thing. You can see it's set to record. Also, the housing needs to be reseated because the clip is a little bit misaligned, so I think somebody probably dropped this thing. Easy way to fix that. Pull it up just a little bit, apply pressure, and there we go. Fixed it. Not really. So Stereo Dust Particles actually pointed out that disassembly of this camcorder is actually pretty easy. The service manuals are, supposedly anyway, widely available, and coming across donor modules for this tape mechanism is mildly difficult. Here's how it ended up going for me. I ended up finding plenty of copies of the level 3 service manual, level 3, which includes block diagrams and wiring diagrams. Does not include anything about the exploded diagrams, so it gives you no detail on disassembling the camcorder whatsoever. The level 2 one, I ended up having to go to a Russian website, which for some reason had the English version. Don't ask questions, as I do not have answers. I downloaded that, and it gives a very detailed disassembly guide, as a service manual probably should. So that was a fun little expenditure of time. The tape mechanism, on the other hand, a couple of Google searches later, I ended up finding somebody who was selling the tape mechanism, which is used in this camcorder as well as a couple of other ones, the TRV-480 included. So I ended up snatching that up. It was cheaper than usual, but the reason for that is that they do not include the head drum. Now, I don't know whether they do that because of shipping limitations or because they want to save costs. Either way, looking into the service manual, it's actually reasonably easy to extract the head drum from the tape mechanism, and this head drum does seem to be healthy. It's just that the rest of the mechanism is, for all intents and purposes, fucked. Fortunately, it does have a 30-day return period, so I will try to do this repair immediately after that ships in the mail, and then we'll go from there. And if I have any other issues, which I certainly tend to have whenever I try to repair tape-based camcorders, I will make sure to record it on video so that I can receive hopefully constructive criticism. And, you know, then I can just kind of sit here and be like, well, that's all fine and dandy in hindsight, but I still have a dead camcorder. Or maybe this will go properly. Who knows? In the meantime, we have a whole separate bundle of joy. Yep. I will be sure to update this little storyline in about a month when that VCR unit ships in. It's going to be a while because the seller is marked as away. Fortunately, the return policy seems to only apply after the United States parcel smashers mark the thing as delivered. So again, I'll have to try and do this repair as soon as possible after I get the damn thing. Of course, because of this, that means that if there's any other issues, I can't open a case, and oh boy, I should have thought this through. Fortunately, I don't have horrifyingly huge financial obligations, at least not at current. How much money can I get for a half-functioning pancreas on eBay? For those incapable of figuring out dark and or badly timed jokes, here's an explanation. I am a type 1 diabetic. My pancreas is of absolutely no use to me. Therefore, I could sell the functioning parts. The other part of the joke is that it's illegal to sell your pancreas in the United States, or at least that's what I'm told. I haven't read up on it because I really don't have any plans. It's a fucking joke.